In my talk, I would like to emphasize some questions that practically was the subject of permanent discussion, starting from pioneering research that was undertaken by Jane Feinberg concerning correct branching dynamics. And the goal of my talk will be to show some of our experimental theoretical results that related to possible nature of singular events that could be controlled crack dynamics and some another dynamic effects from damage failure transition. I will follow this content concerning collective property of effects to discuss some criticality features of damage failure transition with illustration of our experimental data. Then I will pay attention concerning non-linear dynamic for correct propagation to discuss practically similar result that were obtained by J. Feinberg, and to consider from this point very impressive phenomena concerning resonance excitation of failure waves, a specific type of similarity, and also some phenomena that will follow from non-linear crack dynamics concerning soft fragmentation statistics. First of all, I would like to pay attention that more than 30 years ago in Russia, due to the X-small X-ray diffraction study, it was established very characteristic features of transition from damage to failure from point of view of collective properties of typical these defects like microcracks, microshift. You can see typical concentration, characteristic size, typical aspect ratio. It was very stimulating for us, both with experimental data concerning statistical self-similarity that were obtained by Professor Barenblatt and Professor Botvina. That was very helpful to develop statistics that was developed when we introduced typical effects, and it was due to a generalization of bottom-deep statistics. It was realized a procedure of the averaging that allowed us to obtain constitutive model in the variables defect density and some other structural variables that represent the ratio of characteristic size of defects and spacing between defects. It was very important that this statistical consideration allowed the formulation of free energy of solids with defects in terms of above-mentioned variables and reveal characteristic nonlinearities that allowed to predict specific free energy release. The subject of our interest will be that there is some critical point when we have very specific nonlinearity, which includes thermodynamic branch and completely unstable branch with this scenario of free energy decay, and study of these properties in terms of constantly flows, and a very important step in this was self-similar solution that was established by Sergei Pavlovich Kurdyumov. It's a statement for kinetic equation for defect density parameter, and the consequence it was the following, that for instance, for in different ranges of nonlinearity, we have very specific self-similar solutions concerning defect density that could subject damage evolution changes. For instance, when we pass these critical points, in this case, damage failure transition is a consequence of the generation of specific collective modes that has a blow-up nature. It was very interesting that when we established this characteristic type of blow-up modes, 10 years later, similar results were obtained by Jim Langer from Kavli Institute of Theoretical Physics, and he named these collective modes as damage transformation zone. And since we have knowledge about this type of collective modes, it was publication in 1989. Especially it was made for the goal to explain specific self-similarity feature due to the shock-waste loading of PMMA or ceramic sample when it was due to the multiply spore, very specific image of fracture surface as numerous mirror zones. With this practically parallel branch in the variables characteristic time of failure, values of stress amplitude, that reflects very pronounced similarity. It means the damage failure scenario doesn't depend on stress. It's a consequence exactly of resonance excitation of these zones that has the nature of blow-up solution. And this data were used to explain experimental data by J. Feinberg concerning stochastic dynamic of crack propagation. But for this goal, and using our experimental setup, we reformulated the experimental program, and we combined in the statement of J. Feinberg dynamic of crack propagation with high-speed imaging that in polarization schemes that allowed us to confirm critical velocity that was found by J, but also to find some other critical velocity when we have transition from the steady crack propagation to the branching region, and then to this branch that exactly corresponds to dynamic branching in spot. Yes? And in this case, when we go to this branch, you have very pronounced branching when the dota crack practically forget about the crack that originated this scenario. You can see that what characteristic changes the pattern depending on velocity of crack propagation. And this similar solution for blow-up region, which includes characteristic scale of damage localization and characteristic time of damage localization, and this characteristic time of damage localization exactly corresponds dynamic branch under spall conditions. And to confirm these results, we reformulated experimental statement when at the tip of the crack, we, using a laser beam diffraction, we recorded characteristic stress in time for steady state and branching region. And you can see that when crack begins to branch, we have these finite amplitude disturbances for stress. And when we plot phase portrait, in fact, with the bone crack cross-section, you see steady crack propagation corresponds exactly to hyperbolicity. But when we have branching, you have strange attractor that exactly related to the set of collective modes responsible for damage localization in blow-up region. And there is exactly correspondence of this scenario of crack branching with this pattern of numerous spall failure with generation of numerous mirror zones along dynamic branch. Since these blow-up structures, which has the nature of the similar solution, represents eigenfunction spectrum for nonlinear problem, it means that they could be excited in some resonance region. It was very important for us to propose from this point of view explanation of failure wave phenomena when, due to the shock wave loading, behind of stress with some gap with origin materials, we have failure front which propagate with some characteristic of velocity. To confirm these results, we carried out, together with the Cavendish lab, the following experiment. Fused quartz rod was accelerated up to 500 meters per second, and after collision with the wall, it was triggered high-speed framing with resolution close to 10 million pictures per second. Yes, and you see that we have this, we saw the stress, and then with some delay there is a dark area which represents the area of failure wave. It's in this compression stress. When we plot this distance versus time, it corresponds the front of stress propagation, it's the front of failure wave, and this is the front of the end due to the collision. You see, we have the constant delay of elastic front from front of failure wave. It exactly corresponds to the similar solution with blow-up nature, and this is a mathematical statement for failure wave scenario when we have elastic material with defects and kinetic equation defects. And it means that when we pass this critical point, we could excite in different situations which are related to the stress amplitude, different scenario of failure wave. That it is not the wave, because equation is a parabolic equation for defect density. It's not hyperbolic equation. And as a consequence, the nature of failure wave it's the dissipative structure with blow-up region. It results of numerical solution. When you see behind or back front of shock, with some gap, we have new wavefront with probably with some group velocities. Yes. What it means? It means that the failure wave condition could be excited at this branch which corresponds to dynamic rate propagation with very pronounced self-similarity feature, because this branch is practically parallel to the axis of stress. It means that failure wave could be excited as one of the solution for strange attractor modes as a set of blow-up regions. Yes. And this kind of similar solution as a resonance excitation was also very important for us to explain some scaling effects due to the fragmentation. For that goal, it was carried out this type of experiments in recovery condition when quasi-brittle material, ceramics or fused quartz were loaded by gun, okay, and it was due to the recovery conditions measured both stress characteristics and due to the and fracture luminescence. It means that due to the generation of numerous hotspots of failure, we registered signal of fracture luminescence. You see, and after the filtering, we obtained the sequence which corresponds to nucleation of failure hotspots. And when we processed the data as a spacing between the signal, we obtained, for instance, concerning characteristic scale of material, very pronounced power law that exactly corresponds to criticality due to the numerous generation of these similar modes. Okay? And practically similar results were obtained for ceramics, but with the goal to save the fragments. It was the experiment when we had the fragmentation due to the shock in ceramic rods in liquid. And similar, practically, power law were obtained for ceramic, depending on the density and depending on the initial porosity. And this point of breaking in these plots is very important because it separates adsorption ability of ceramics depending on the initial porosity. Okay, in summary, damage failure transition under intensive loading reveals the criticality features due to the generation of self-similar blow-up collective modes of damage localization. Self-similar nature of blow-up collective modes of damage localization provides the low sensitivity of damage failure transition to the low intensity dynamic branch and the spall failure and qualitatively different dynamics of propagation. Failure wave phenomena can be explained as the resonance region of damage localization or delayed failure with delayed time corresponding to blow-up damage localization mode initiation. Fragmentation statistic under intensive loading reveal pronounced feature of self-organized criticality, power law, special temporal statistics that can be explained as a flicker noise universality used by multi-scale blow-up modes of damage localization. And special temporal scaling under dynamic failure and fragmentation of quasi-brittle material reveals the qualitative difference of statistical distribution with different power indexes depending on structure of material, including porosity and intensity of the loading. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.